Where I'm currently standing is part of Zion National Park, but it is way, way far away from where I was. Those mountains and plateaus that you see over there in the distance, that is kind of the outside edge of where I was hiking before, when I was like in the, not really safe to say, or not really fair to say the park proper, because this is still part of the park, but that's like the most heavily traveled portion of it where I was before. And this is what's called the Kolob Canyons. These are bunch of sandstone peaks. Sure seen a lot of those recently, and each one of them has these giant gully canyon ditches things in between them. And I'm standing right now in an overlook. It doesn't look super dramatic from where I'm standing right now because it's just a slope that leads down into the gully down there, but those things are far away. And take a look. For the here the plaque shows, like each of these peaks are very, very high above sea level, and they're miles away from where I'm standing right now, despite that we have a clear direct line of sight to them. This will be our last major site for the day, probably. We're going to go on a hike, and I might have something more to show. Just roughly a mile from the spot I last recorded. You can see it's a little bit later, the sun's all but set. And we're standing on the edge of this hill over here that is opposite of those giant canyon cliffs I showed you. That over there, those flat-topped plateaus, that is the outside edge of Zion Canyon, where the majority of the park-going traffic is. It's starting to get dark, so I'm not sure how well the video is going to capture it, but this is a incredibly picturesque view. Let me give you a little bit more view of our surroundings here.
Pine Valley Mountains. It is possibly the world's largest laccolith, which is to say, it's granites, it's volcanic rocks that formed underground, and then later all the ground above them got worn off, leaving just the mountains, kind of lens-shaped block.
Despite the fact that you see a valley and woods beneath us, we're actually estimated between 6,000 and 7,000 feet above sea level. It's like a whole other world up here above the world. It's pretty groovy. Gonna take a quick look over here.
You're facing towards Horse Pasture Plateau.
Yeah.
And if you go all the way along that, at the far end, the trail that goes down along that plateau and then around the left side of it is the one that comes out at Scouts Lookout.
My guide is talking to me. Microphone probably can't catch it, but he's giving me details and trivia about the various trails and paths you could be taken through here. This is very gorgeous. All right. This will be our last stop on this trip, and it is incredibly windy where I'm standing right now, so I have no idea if you're going to be able to hear, if the microphone will catch my voice over this, but I'm standing right now in the great desert plains of southern Utah. We're quite a bit north of Zion Canyon. We're actually on our way back to the metropolitan center of northern Utah, but we're taking a quick stop here to take a look at something called petroglyphs, which are just ancient communicative markings left by tribal nomadic people who came through here many hundreds of years ago. And this site here, this is just the very first of it. There's more to see on either side. I'll show you the bigger parts I just passed. This site was discovered back in the 1960s and considered a historic landmark, and then fenced off here so people couldn't get in here and deface it. I'm hoping you'll be able to see that. I can't see it on the viewfinder on the camera very well, so I hope it'll come out on the video. Go back this way. Excuse me. Excuse me. Alright, those are some of my traveling companions come to show me this part before we head back north. There's a very large concentration of these petroglyphs here over on the other side of this hill. And so nobody really knows what these things mean. I mean, we can make some guesses because they're basically just like a pictorial form of communication. Like some of that stuff there. I can't get any closer than this, so I don't know how well this is going to come out on the camera, but there's like kind of a snake shape there and some man shapes. There's one dude kind of standing in the middle there next to a lightning bolt who looks like he's got a giant ribbon on his head. It's probably a proto-toho. And some more to see over here. Kind of up there on the rock face, you see what's called the zipper glyph, just because it kind of looks like a zipper shape with a bunch of crosshatched lines coming down through it. And nobody knows who left these. These are just kind of here. There are markings by what's assumed to be like roving tribes to give information about stuff that needs information about, I suppose, like the land and such. But yeah, this is basically, you can think of this as like the very, very early days. Before people had the internet, this is what they did. Those are sad times.